Hi everyone, it's Hazel here, back with episode 2 of the hashtag Story Scraps challenge that was put up by the ladies at Witchcraft Do You Do. So far I have done these 3 journal cards. Let me move this out of the way. So what I've done here is I kind of followed along what Carrie was doing, and I did some brayering to start off with in the background, and then I stamped, but I stamped using a homemade stamp, which is actually bubble wrap. It works rather beautifully, and I'll hold this up to the camera so that you will possibly be able to see. It kind of makes random abstract splotches, and this I've done with a very pale green, not showing up too clearly on this one, so let's try that one. Yes, that does look a little bit clearer. You can see it on this section here. So yeah, okay, that's what I did. And what I did was I prepared 9 of these cards, 3 big ones and 2 of the smaller size, and then this one I've taken through with decoupaging a little bit of the background print that I got in my freebie, and then I've attached things that are bluish. So we have the then came a flower shaped like a star, which is from the story. There are the star-shaped flowers, a little blue label, and then some pieces of the background page that I tore off and then glued down, going this way and going that way. So that's that one. I haven't done any distressing around the edges yet, but we are getting there slowly. Then this was the next one I did. I rather enjoyed this one because it's got the sprig. It's got some more of a greeny background, but the odd touch of blue just to link it to the bigger one, and nice little label with a touch of green, and then of course the very pale green stamping in the background, and a little piece of vintage lace running up the side. Not very easy to see, but it does give texture. Then here is number 3, which is, oh, I forgot to mention, this one I have distressed around the edges with a pair of scissors, because this is not something I'd ever done before, so I thought, let me give it a try. I'm here to learn. So here we go. Okay, now number 3 of this little set. Again, the similar background to the main one here, and the little one as well. A lot plainer, leaving space for people to write if they want to. That's as far as I've got with that one. So it's pretty much on its way to completion. But the rest of the cards, what I've done so far is, here's the second set. I've done the backgrounds, and then I've chosen the focal points. So here we've got it. This background is slightly different. This background is from the previous background was the old coffee dyed watercolor paper. There we go. This one is a piece of this old map book that I've been using to keep my desk tidy. I put it underneath items that I'm painting, but it's made rather a beautiful background, I think. Let's just have a look here. Let me show you. You see it's got some darker splotches. This is also braided and not yet stamped, but I've braided it and chosen a focal point. This one is even more colorful. It's kind of the edge of the paper, and I just love it. And then here's the focal point for this one, kind of matching the big one. Then here, another piece of that same piece of paper with the bright colors on it. And so far, that is what I've chosen to go onto this card. Then here is the third little set. Let me just move this away. I don't want to lose any pieces from there. Back to the watercolor paper. Quite interesting. I like the what do they call it? The visual texture of these backgrounds. This is the kind of thing that I really enjoy doing and working with. So there we have them. Not as pale as Carrie's, but still nice and aged looking. Okay, so for this set, I'm going with a more vintage look. I do think I'm probably going to still have one of these going sideways and one of these going upright, but possibly something there. So far I haven't really played with the layout. I've just chosen focal images and a couple of things, possibly this again, vintage lace. I was very lucky. I saved and kept my mother's laces. She used to sew a lot, and she was a young lady in the 1930s. And in those days, especially during the Second World War, if you had pretty underwear with nice lace on, you took the lace off before you got rid of your worn-out petticoats, etc. So I was able to hang on to those. Now I've decided that I rather fancy these little tea sets. So I haven't chosen particularly what I'm going to do with them, but I do like the way they look. I don't know what you guys think. So I'm thinking of that they might just pitch up somewhere on these little journaling cards. And of course I've still got a whole lot of pieces of background that are going to be used on both the other two, the two sets that I'm going to be working on. And I did go and have a second background page printed, just in case I needed it. So that's where we are sitting at the moment. So let's put this out of the way, because this one I still need to kind of mull over and think about seriously. This little set, I more or less have some direction, so I'm going to be working on that next. Let's pull out all our papers. let's get started, shall we? Okay, I've started figuring out what to do with the next batch of cards, starting with this one. What I did here was I was setting everything out and deciding exactly where to put it. So I just glued that together and made it into one little focal image. It's a slight cheat, but it makes life a lot easier. We can get this on. I think I mentioned before that I hadn't really paid much attention to junk journaling. But as I'm working on this challenge, I'm becoming more interested in it. So I've been doing a little bit of research, sort of searching up comments about what is junk journaling and, you know, why, what's it all about. And I'm finding it quite interesting, and I actually have plans to make myself a journal. I think this challenge is giving me a start because I'm building up some cards and some ephemera and some interesting imagery, and I'm going to start putting together ideas for what I'm actually going to journal, and it's quite exciting. I'm not going to stop with the mixed media or anything, but I'm going to additionally build myself a junk journal as I go, kind of learning to understand how it works and why it works. So I think that's going to be fun as well. Anyway, here we are. First one done. I'm not putting much on the front here because I think it would be nice to have this one for actually journaling on the front and the back. I have plans to actually put some lined paper on the back of all of these cards so that there's extra space for journaling. Oh, Hazel, you might want to be a little bit straighter with your labels. Thank you, that's better. Okay. All right, so that is number one in this little batch of 3. That's that one finished. As I say, there's space here now for journaling. Let's move on to this one, the most colorful one. And it's still retro because I love the colors of the 70s. I love the fashion of the 70s. I just loved everything about the 70s at the time of my life, at that particular point in time. What a time to be a young teenager and a young adult. It was the most amazing era. And I actually feel sorry for those who haven't experienced that incredible freedom and a sense of adventure. There we go, that's looking quite good. See, this is rather beautiful as well. And I'm going to just put a number at the bottom here, just to that's where it's going. I can see me needing to print a couple more of our freebies, depending on how long the challenge is and how many sessions we've got. Not that I'm complaining. I just want to keep on top of everything and not keep myself waiting. There we are. Doesn't that look cute? I know it's two numbers together, but I just like that look. So there we have it. Still making up my mind about whether or not I'll put part of the story here. I possibly will, because then I can just put the lined paper on the back for journaling. There's two of them done now. The two matching ones. And now we've got the final card in this little section. I'm already planning my journal, believe it or not, folks. First one ever. But I'm thinking, okay, if I do everything in threes, that means I can have 3 signatures in my journal, and each one will have a different color and a different theme to it. It's going to be fun, isn't it? Okay, so let's plan the words. There we go. I like this. I like it in this space. Just 2 lines of text will be plenty. How do I like that? I think I like that very much. Okay, let's just trim that little tiny piece of paper off. And I'm going to put the bottom part of the sentence down first, because I know exactly where that's going to fit. And then the other one can just go on top. like that. Really like that. I think that is gorgeous. Okay, let's show off a little bit. Let's put these down here. This one up here. This one down here. And this is set number 2. I think it's looking rather good. Here we are on the last 3 journal cards. Again, I've done quite a bit off camera because in some areas I am inclined to work very slowly. You know, old hands kind of lose their speed, but that is not a complaint, it's an observation. So it's not because I don't want you people to see what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. I just don't want to bore you all to tears. Okay, we're having a little bit of music page on the bottom of this one. Kind of move it over just a tad more. There we go. And here I have my bits and pieces. I'm using the craft glue for this one because the music sheet has is printed onto the watercolor, the old watercolor paper that I mentioned in the past. So the paper is not incredibly strong, and I do feel that it needs something a little bit stronger than a glue stick to keep it in place safely. Let's put that little baby here. This little set is slightly more vintage than the others because of the colors that I'm using. I haven't put stenciling or stamping in the background. It's just the braid paper. I just felt that these little ones deserved a bit less background fuss. Now, this particular set, I'm using these little teeny tiny teacups and teapots. I thought they would be rather sweet in this context. What I've done with these is I have inked around them all. This is a kind of a mystery ink. It doesn't say what kind of ink it is on the container or the packaging, and it doesn't give us a color. But I have established that it is not permanent. If you go over it with liquid matte medium, if you're not extremely careful, it will smudge. So it's a little bit of a mystery, but that's how things go. Okay, this is where I am with this little one. I think it's coming along quite nicely. It's starting to look quite sweet. So I'm going to put this to one side. I must show you the one that I did off camera because this involved carefully gluing down an awful lot of lace and stuff. And this is where my old hands slow right down. So this one I think is too sweet. That is the other of the small journal cards from this set. So you can see they all kind of do link up with the teeny tiny teapots and things. Now we move on to the big card. What I discovered I could do here, and I leapt upon the concept with great pleasure, is that I could glue little bits and pieces together and leave them to dry, then come back later and put them down. And as you can see, that's a lovely base at the bottom of the card. This little baby sits on here. How did I have it planned now? I think that was where I put it. Yes, that was where I put it. So this side is also not glued down, I thought. I was right. So this is where I'll just quickly put the little block of glue stick to hold everything in place for me. There. Teeny little blob there. You can see that one was also not quite glued down. Here we go. I do think this is looking rather nice. But I think we need a label on here. So let me see what I can find. Coming to the end of the labels. So there's a possibility that I will be shooting off to print another sheet of those as well. Not that I mind in the slightest. I then have an outing to the shops. I don't think it should go to the bottom. It does, however, give us a nice big journaling space. Okie dokes. So this is going to be something with a lot of journaling space. Now that I'm actually thinking of making a journal for myself, I have quite a few more ideas than I started off with, which is why, like now, I'm deciding that there needs to be another one with journaling space on it. Okay, so we've got that one, which is kind of looking very much like that one, but I don't think that matters. Do I perhaps want... Look at that. I think that will be rather nice. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to just cut it a little bit further. Just cut it a little bit straighter. A little bit shorter. And then let's ink it. Okay, this can go back in its little packet. So we've still got 2 labels and 2 little number tags. Which is fine. Okay, let's glue this down. Well, this is starting to look quite nice. Let's have a look at that now. We've got these 2 and this one. So that's number 3. Here I am doing the splattering. I've decided to do quite a few of them, but to leave the ones with the watering cans without splatter. And this little fan brush does the most gorgeous splattering without blobbing as she blobs. Fortunately, I did cover that one up. Let's just drain this off properly this time. This is the fan brush. It works like an absolute charm. There we have it. Let me just clean up here a little bit and then I'll show you guys. Stand it up to catch the light. Let's move this letters away. I did these little babies first. See, it's quite a nice fine splatter. This little one as well, I'll let it go all over this one. That's the final one out of the set. What I did here was I covered the photo of the little fairy girl and let the lace get most of the splatter all the way around the edge. So that's that. Then we have the blues. You see the fine splatter everywhere, but it doesn't matter because it's not big splatters. That's one thing about the fan brush. You can kind of control the amount of splash. There we go. A little bit clearer. Here we are. And finally, this little one I covered up and just let the splatter land on the lacy edge. So that's that sorted. Now, the only thing I have left to do, let's just put these slightly out of the way to dry. I would hate to now smear them, having been so successful with the splattering. It would be sad. This set I've left plain, and I have already been around the edges and distressed the khaki, hang on, I always call it khaki, the brown paper, the brown card, with a pair of scissors. Something I hadn't been aware that you could do with a pair of scissors. Okay, these two have been distressed, this one hasn't. So what I've got here is an ancient pair of embroidery scissors, as blunt as anything. They don't cut even thin cotton anymore, but they look fine for this little trick, so I will be holding on to them. They're definitely not going to be tossed out. Okay, here we have them finished. The splatter has dried, the edges have been distressed, and on the back of each card I have glued a piece of lined paper so that there's space on each card to journal. And so I have done all the way down the line. And that is this challenge completed. If you like what I've done, please like and comment. I'm desperate to get comments, people. Nobody seems to comment anymore. It is a little bit sad because that is how people get our feedback, is when you comment. But thank you for watching anyway. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and bye-bye.